Can you hear me? I think we'll go ahead and get started with GMD number 5. I want to welcome everybody tonight. And it's been a tough year for this board with COVID and then all the activities that we've faced. And anyhow, we got a slate of people to speak tonight. And I think without further ado, John, you want to say what you have to say?
I am the president of the Central Kansas Water Bank, and we will basically run these meetings tonight concurrently. We're doing an excellent job of social distancing here in this room, and we're glad that everybody is on Zoom. And without further ado, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Orrin.
I suppose it helps to turn the remote on. Oh. All right, we're good. Like John and Daryl said, thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you for bearing with us with all the interesting COVID restrictions and any Zoom issues as they pop up. I'm going to get the agenda put up there and come on through. First thing we have on the agenda is to review the annual meeting minutes from last year. They are in the packets for those in attendance tonight. They were already approved by both GMD and Water Bank boards last February or March. So they do not need an approval tonight. Curtis Tobias was unable to join us tonight, so I'm going to try to muddle through the election of directors for Central Kansas Water Bank Association. We have 2 positions that are open. The first is John Jansen as an incumbent for position 1, and the second is Greg Ebert for position number 2. And at this point, I will open the floor to nominations. Again, I'll open the floor to nominations. A third time, open the floor to nominations. I would move for a unanimous ballot if that would be so moved. Kevin Schultz made a motion to, can you speak up, Kevin? Unanimous ballot for incumbents to be cast. Carrie Froschner, second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The incumbent's passed. I'll ask Fred Grunder to pop up here and we'll run the election for the GMD.
We have 3 positions open for GMD 5 directors. We have 3 incumbents. Pawnee County would be Carrie Froschner. Kiowa would be John Jansen. And our at-large would be Tom Taylor. I would now open the floor for a nomination from the floor for Pawnee County. That's pretty light bright. Is there a nomination from the floor for Kiowa County? Or a nomination from the floor for the at-large position? Then I guess I would ask for somebody to make a motion for a unanimous ballot for the 3 candidates. Okay. Thank you. I guess everything remains the same. Oh, I guess we can vote on the unanimous ballot. Excuse me. Aye. Opposed?
guess everything still is the same.
John? Yeah, there you go. John Jansen will cover the financial report for the district.
Do it better without the mask. What you see, and for a change, guys, if you like this screen, I do. It's big enough. I think you can read it from back there. The 2020 budget, our cash carryover, we raised through tax revenues $1,582,000. We had some miscellaneous income of about 40 grand, 50 grand, really 40 grand. Total cash position, 44,799,779. I transpose numbers and that's not good for an accountant. As you can see, our salaries, 162, that's one big item. Professional fees, you'll get to see what we spend those on tonight because I think Amy's going to be on the program. And then the weather stations, and then water management. And if you notice, it jumped up in 2020. We bought some ground in 2020 as part of the water management program. And so that's how the expenses ran there. At the end of our year, which we just got the audit report today, our ending cash on hand at the end of the year is that bottom number down there, the 4,100,000 plus. It looks like we're about to get in a position to spend it. It looks like we're going to finally get our augmentation project going. And so it's what we've kind of been saving up for. So we're hitting that spot. Any questions from what you can see up here on the screen? Kevin? Okay, if you don't have a question, I think we're safe. So, all right. Do we going to do the budget also? Okay, this is our proposed budget for 2022. And if it's back on the other slide, but don't worry about it, I'll tell you. We raise the salaries, and part of that is that we anticipate having to, if everything gets to hitting on the numbers with our augmentation and everything, we will probably end up with an increase in staff. The travel and conference, we didn't spend most of that last year because most of the meetings were held like this, only they were straight Zoom. There wasn't any in person. Our water management budget, we left at $1 million because that's the beginning of some more of the augmentation. Professional fees, we will be addressing some of where those are going again here directly. The assessments and the per acre foot charge remains the same on this proposed budget for 2022. We approved the budget for 2021 in July. Am I saying that right? Okay. So this budget will actually come up for approval in July of this year in 2021. So, but this is to kind of keep you in the loop, let you know where things are headed and what's going on. Is that the end of my speechifying? Any questions? Good. Have a good evening.
Thanks, John. I didn't know I'd be getting up here quite so fast. My attempt tonight is to kind of bring you guys up to speed what we've been doing over the last year and kind of lay out kind of what we're planning to do. I like to start off with where we were this time last year. You guys know we were fairly dry right here in our backyard. This year, it's shifted north, but it's affecting more of the state. I would say that we're still very, very dry, as you guys know much better than I do. If you guys got a packet tonight, hopefully you've got one from out front. You see a map. You don't see this map because this is last year's map. It shows the water table change between 19 and 2020, mostly blue, sprinkling of red in there, but mostly blue, which is, we like to see blue. Because we were dry in 2020, those numbers changed. A lot of red on this map, which I don't really like to see, but it's understandable. My view is if you don't use a full bucket, that bucket will overfill and you'll never be able to utilize it and put it to beneficial use. The maximum decline we saw was about almost 5 feet. I think someone else pick it out yet? Where is it at, John? Seward area, right there. Right there northwest of St. John. And all of these numbers John put together with coordination with Kansas Geological Survey and KDA DWR. And John has gone through and verified and fact checked, if not every single one of these, the vast majority, to make sure that we're presenting as good information to you as we can. Projects. It comes to no surprise, the primary project in our neck of the woods is the Quivira National Wildlife Refuge resolution. We are committed to seeing that resolution throughout and pushing it forward. We believe that we have a viable and sustainable solution that we've put together with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. In July of this last year, we entered into a memorandum of agreement to that effect. That is available on our website. If you'd like to download it and take a look at it, I would highly encourage it. I'm going to get rid of this if you guys don't mind. Do I go into it? Okay. If you're not paying attention to the news, last month, Audubon of Kansas filed suit against Department of Interior, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, as well as Kansas Department of Agriculture, DWR, claiming that there were violations of federal laws and state laws when the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and KDA failed to protect the service's water right. It's a primary concern. We are not currently named in that suit. We're not a party to that suit at this time. And if you have any questions about that specifically, we do have legal counsel here tonight with us, and she's much better suited to address those questions than I am. But I would like you to be informed about what's going on. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And we'll have a short time after I get done for some questions and answers. Conservation programs, this is what I like talking about. This is big, guys. If you're not participating in this or haven't heard about this, this is the Innovation Grants Project with the Nature Conservancy, K-State, WaterPack, and NRCS. It is to fund on-field, real-world technology studies and to see how they actually can improve your system over time and save water. And because I'm horrible at describing projects, we actually have a video that actually describes what the program is by the primary investigator, Heidi Mell. All right, Grant.
Hello, my name is Heidi Mell. I'm the Director of Water and Agriculture Programs for the Nature Conservancy in Kansas. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Rattlesnake Creek Irrigation Innovation Project. And this project is a partnership between Big Bend Groundwater Management District number 5, WaterPack, Kansas State University, USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service, and the Nature Conservancy. Our goals for this project are to, number 1, increase adoption of more efficient irrigation packages, soil moisture sensors, and irrigation scheduling tools. 2, monitor improvements in irrigation efficiency and yield per unit of water. And 3, to facilitate a peer-to-peer mentoring network to discuss successful strategies in irrigation. So under this program, what we have available are 50% cost share funds for irrigation system upgrades. And we have a complete list of the upgrades that are available on the flyer that should be available as a handout or online, or you can contact one of our project partners to get a copy of the flyer. We are also offering free technical assistance and assistance with the CanSched irrigation scheduling tools and workshops to learn more about the CanSched irrigation scheduling tool. And we will also be holding field days as part of this project. So here's our table of everything that is available. And this is the same table that is on the flyer. And we ask that everybody choose the level 1 base technology, choose one of those packages. And we have some examples of the type of packages that are available on the sort of the third line down here, but you're not limited to those specific brands. Those are just examples of what might be available. And then, so we are going to do 35 fields with the level 1 base technology, and then 25 of those fields will also get the level 2 technology, which is an irrigation system improvement. So you can see the range of improvements that are available under that level 2 category, including a full conversion to mobile drip irrigation. Requirements for participation in the project: you must be located in the Rattlesnake Creek watershed. You have to be EQIP eligible, which means compliance with the highly erodible lands and wetland provisions, and your local NRCS office can help you with that. We are doing continuous signups. So this is a 3-year project, and as long as the funds remain available, you can sign up anytime. But our sign-up deadline, our first priority sign-up deadline, is April 30th of this year. We will also ask participants in the project to share data on applied water, your crop type, your yields, and also energy usage. But this data will be, your privacy will be protected, and we will not share your name or associate the data with you unless we have your written permission to do so. So to learn more about this project or to become a participant, you can contact any of the project partners, and the phone numbers and emails are shown here. And you can also visit your local NRCS or USDA service center in any of the participating counties or any of the K-State extension offices. So thank you very much.
All right. Are there any questions about this CIG project? We do have some folks in the room tonight who are partners in this project. So we have, I think I saw Patrick Jansen snuck in. He's one of the folks that you saw on the slide or on the video a little bit ago as one of the contact individuals. And we do have Lee Wheeler, who is the technical advisor for the group to help us figure out this technology. Any questions on the CIG project? You guys are a very easy crowd tonight. All right. And I need to pause for a second and acknowledge a few folks. Devin Cooper and John Hildebrand in my office have done a remarkable job getting information available for these slides, getting the venue set up and coordinated, as well as George and Ryan, I believe, George and Grant for the Kiowa County Media Center and Twilight Theatre for helping us get this venue put together. I think we all need to give them a round of applause before we get any further. I don't give them enough credit. All right, next. There we go. The next conservation program that I'd like to highlight tonight is the phreatophyte removal program that you guys have heard about and seen before. It is still ongoing. There are still funds available if you're interested in this. Aaron Flanders with the Partners for Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, is an excellent resource. If you've not met him before, you are not doing yourself enough service. He is a good resource for this area to get those invasive species, invasive trees out of your pastures. And I'll show you a slide here in a second, kind of showing the before and after and the impacts of some of the work that he's been doing with this group. I added some extra logos at the bottom, and I barely fit them on there because that's how many partners we have. And that's not an all-inclusive list. That's just the ones that I had logos for. There are many more folks that are providing funds into the project, technical resources, and contact information for this project. It's very well supported. You'll notice the red line going across there. This is a single image of the impacts of the woody species below the red line and the after of the pasture after it's been treated and those trees removed. It's just a dramatic difference in the landscape and the potential runoff from rainfall to the stream. It'll definitely make an impact. We highly encourage you, if you have any desire to look into this, please get in contact with Aaron or myself, and I'll get you in contact with Aaron to get you funded to get this done on your ground. Any questions on Big Bend and what we've been doing going forward? This is going to be great. They're going to be nice and easy, Amy. Water bank. We are in the middle of what's supposed to be a 1-year process. It's now at year 3 of that process to be reviewed formally by an independent review committee consisting of water policy experts, economists, you name it, lawyers. Always have to have lawyers in the mix to try and make sure that the water bank is staying consistent with the rules and regulations and statutes guiding it, as well as to try and determine if there are benefits or improvements that the water bank could do to make our projects more beneficial to you, the producer, you, the water user, because that's what we're here for. Water bank is a separate entity, completely separate from Big Bend. It is a 501c6, not-for-profit corporation in the state. About this time, a year and a half ago, they were supposed to have submitted this independent report to the secretaries and the legislature. Here we are. We had a meeting earlier today. It's still not done. If you have any concerns about that, please talk to your water bank board members, and we'll try and address those with the review committee. I like to show kind of our activity over the last several years and kind of give you an update where we're at. You can see our transfers are staying consistent and steady. This last year, we had 2 successful transfers from one location to another. Those were both private transfers. So the individuals agreed on a price, and those are completely confidential transfers. You can option for a public transaction where you actually go in and put your water up for bid, and the highest bid wins. Savings accounts. This is the most productive part of the water bank. The one that has the highest activity by far. You can see it in our numbers. We don't have nearly the number of accounts that are happening as they were in 2016 and previous. We had 90 new accounts come online this year for a grand total of nearly 1,700 accounts in the savings account program. So it's, like I said, very, very widely used and effective. If you have any questions about how water banking works or how it could benefit your operation, I highly recommend you talk to John Hildebrand or myself or any of the water bank board. They will be happy to get you signed up and get you out and get this operational for you. And lastly, for water bank, I put this at the end intentionally. If you're not on the notification list for the water bank, you're missing out, because if water comes available for public bid, this is the only mechanism we use to publish that information. In fact, there's water coming very soon that is available in the Arkansas River Basin. I don't remember the exact amount, but it's attractive. So I encourage you, if you're not already on the notification list, you can designate which subbasin you'd like to be a part of. If you're not already on there, you should get on there, because we're about to be sending out a public notice very soon. This is available on our website today, CKWBA.org. All right. Any questions for me or any of the board members? I'd be happy to throw them under the bus tonight. This is your opportunity, folks. I'd love to hear your questions. I know it's cold outside, but it's not that cold. Yes, any question, Big Bend or Water Bank. Amy, would you mind? Amy Davenport with Stinson Leonard.
Good evening, everyone. Very nice to meet you in person. I'm Amy Davenport with the law firm of Stinson. We're based in Kansas City, and I have been working, a lot of you know Lynn Preheim with my firm. Been working with Lynn over the past year or so to try to make sense of kind of what's going on with all the parties at the table now and that are interested in the refuge, in Quivira Natural Refuge. As you know, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Department of Interior, and KDA were recently, well, a lawsuit was filed against those parties. And the gist of the lawsuit, it's a very long lawsuit with a lot of alleged violations. But the gist of the lawsuit is that because KDA has made a finding of impairment at that refuge, that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife's water right has been impaired, then the U.S. Fish and Wildlife must go ahead and ask for that water and ask KDA to issue an order to allocate and administer water rights based on that finding of impairment. And while the district is not a named party, if you look through that lawsuit, the district is named several times. It very much has an interest in the outcome of that lawsuit. And earlier this evening, we discussed kind of how involved to get. And after our discussion, you heard the board go ahead and vote to authorize Stinson to represent its interests in that lawsuit, to keep track of the lawsuit, and ultimately try to intervene and become a party in the lawsuit. And that is to take special care and make sure that the interests of the landowners within the district, the water rights holders, as well as the district's own water right is protected, because the outcome of that lawsuit certainly will impact how the district does its job. So we're here to try to untangle the web of whatever happens within that lawsuit, but ultimately to come to a solution that makes sense. And I think that the board is very committed to that, and you hear how they do that, every step of the way. So I'm glad to be on board, and it's really nice to be here in person. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And I know we have a whole host of folks on Zoom that have a lot of knowledge as well. Yeah.
How binding is the MOU and the MOA in light of the lawsuit?
One of the aspects of the lawsuit is that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service should not have entered into the MOA with the district, and that it is an action that kicked off all these other, triggered a lot of other obligations on behalf of the service. It's our view that the MOA is simply sort of a roadmap and an initial step to tackle the bear, to tackle the future here, knowing that it is a really complex set of issues that we need to look into from a lot of angles, and there are lots of stakeholders involved. That MOU is a first step, and the district and the service, I believe, intend to treat those commitments and follow through with those commitments. But in terms of whether or not it's a contract that can't be changed and triggers all these other obligations, we simply don't agree with that. It's a contract or an agreement that can be modified based on good data, good science, and where the need arises. So that was a long answer. It is an agreement that we intend to follow, and that I would expect would develop and change and evolve based on good data. Yeah.
Is there an issue with G5 being added to the suit? Is that a foregone deal?
It is not a done deal. There's you may be familiar with the process, but we have to ask the court. We have to file our pleading showing why we are a necessary party to the case, and why the parties that are in the case don't adequately represent the district already. So we're going to have to show that in a pleading. We do believe that there's that's going to be easy to do on the district's part. I doubt that it will go unchallenged. I imagine that someone will have something to say about it once we do file, but we'll see. They certainly need to be there. I think without getting into, and I didn't bring my treatise on this, but I know that I deal with a lot of third-party lawsuit challenges. I help clients either protect their interests that are being challenged by a third party, or I've represented the state governments in those types of suits too. And I can tell you it's very common for third-party environmental groups, nonprofit groups to come in and make these challenges nationwide. And the state of the case law over the years, it has changed. It used to be much harder for these types of groups to show standing, but I would say, just to broad brush it, it's less hard right now. They will still have to show a certain level of impact and injury to maintain the lawsuit. And whether or not they have shown enough, I simply don't know quite yet. But it is common for third-party groups, and I imagine Audubon has been involved in hundreds of suits nationwide. Yeah. And I don't want to steal anybody's thunder who is on Zoom. So if Eric or anyone from the service wants to chime in, please feel free, because we do have some service representatives on the line. They're hiding under the protection of Zoom. But there's lots more we're going to learn in a short period of time, I'm sure, and we'll have more answers then. I saw one more question there. Yes. Well, the district has been involved, of course, with its expert hydrologist, Blue, the firm, yes, Peter Blue, and has done a lot of modeling. I imagine the amount of data collection that's gone on over the past years is extraordinary. I don't see that stopping. In this type of situation, you collect the best you can, you model the best you can, and then you make the decisions based on the knowns. But you also acknowledge that there are certain unknowns. So I'm quite sure, and we've talked with the service and the agencies about this openly, that there will be a need for data collection to make sure that everything is working as we hope it works, as solutions are implemented. True. And I mean, what do they say? It's only as good as its inputs. So if the inputs are hogwash, then you're not going to get very good predictions. I do know, though, it is everybody's interest to start somewhere. And so here we are with the experts at the table, and I'm sure that there will be more experts join the discussion to talk about the best we know right now. And then as we go and learn more and technology changes, I have no doubt that solutions will become even stronger. Yes.
Senator Moran's office. What has been
No, I have not spoken with Senator Moran's office since the suit was filed, so I don't have a direct reaction, but I'll give, if you want to comment on any sort of, so I'm hearing that there's been some communication already that Senator Moran is committed till the end, that the dynamic, the administration change, the new directorship and so on has not changed his position in that regard. And they've been excellent partners, trying to work with lots and lots of different organizations, herd the cats, if you will, in the process, and have been very helpful in that way. So I'm glad to hear it. Yeah. Any more? Okay. Thanks very much. Nice to meet you.
I have to put her out of her misery and not have her stand up here much longer. Next, what I'd like to do, if possible, is have Stacy Armitage, who is the new Assistant Regional Director for Refuges out of Denver, speak to you on U.S. Fish and Wildlife and give a quick report from their perspective.
Thank you, Oren. I appreciate the opportunity to join your annual meeting tonight. Good evening, everyone, and I hope that you can hear me okay. As Oren said, my name is Stacy Armitage. I do work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and I'm the new Assistant Regional Director for the National Wildlife Refuge Program. I believe Will Meeks, who was my predecessor, joined your meeting last year. So before I turn it over to Refuge Manager Mike Oldham to give a brief update of what's going on the refuge, I just wanted to talk a little bit about administration change. As you know, we did have administration change on January 20th, and with any new administration, that also means new Department of Interior and Fish and Wildlife Service leadership. So our Secretary of Interior has been nominated, but not yet confirmed. However, the confirmation hearing for our Interior Secretary nominee, Representative Deb Haaland, is scheduled for next Tuesday. So we hope to have her in place soon after. Also, a change in administration means that we have a new director for the Fish and Wildlife Service. Aurelia Skipwith is no longer our director. She left office with the last administration. We do currently have an acting director who will continue to serve until our new director has been appointed. Our current acting director is Martha Williams, who comes to us from Montana, where she was previously served as the director for the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. So as our acting director settles into her new role, and me as well, I've only been in my position for 4 months. We still have a lot to learn about Quivira water rights, the discussion going on, but we will have an opportunity to brief our acting director in the next couple of weeks. So while we are definitely in a time of transition, we, the Fish and Wildlife Service, still see very much value in communication and coordination with what we've had with GMD this past year, and we are definitely looking to continue our discussions. So with that said, thank you so much again for the opportunity to join your meeting tonight, and I'd like to turn it over to Mike to give you an update of all the wonderful things that are going on the refuge. So Mike, over to you.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, Stacy. So for the board out there, I know this will be the second time you've heard this, so bear with me as we go through it. Give a little bit of a refuge update and projects, what's happened in the past and what we plan on happening in the future. So not going to take a ton of time, but I do appreciate what you had shared with some of the project work off the refuge. And certainly our Partners for Fish and Wildlife, Aaron, was involved, as well as a lot of other agencies and entities. So that was good to see that. We've done over the past number of years, we've tried to do some of the same. And when you heard about it, the removing invasive species off the creek and adjacent to Rattlesnake Creek, we've been doing some of that since probably about 2014 and continue to do that. And so this year happens to be a pretty big year in that we've taken a pretty big swath in the past. And we've got one last final contract in 2021 with some heavy equipment and tree removal off the creek and other adjacent areas. So we're pretty excited about keeping that momentum going. And then we also follow up some of that tree removal by bringing in youth crews. And we've done it the last number of years, 2 months in 2019, 2 months in 2020. And we plan on doing the same thing in 2021 as well. So basically these youth crews come in and following any kind of heavy equipment or tree removal with heavy equipment, they come in and treat the areas and make sure that we don't get resprouts or regrowth coming right back in. So definitely don't want to lose the ground that you took a lot of years to gain, basically. We've also done other things like repair and replace water control structures in past years, removal of old abandoned oil roads and stuff like that, and also improve some of our water metering that's happening on the refuge. So those are some of the things in the past years, but I can tell you we're really hopeful that in the next, let's say 1 to 3 years, we've got a lot more of that to go. Right now we're planning on cleaning cattail and sediment out of about 11 miles of canals on the refuge. So that'll be a big step forward that we really haven't done in a good number of years. We also plan on replacing and or repairing up to as many as 12 other water control structures, some of them smaller, but also some of them larger that are right on a little salt marsh itself. So a lot of different things that are going to be happening. And we also plan on continuing the invasive species control, just trying to keep it as bay for years to come. So expect to see some changes. I just ask that everybody bears with us when you see wetlands going dry from time to time, and we've got equipment out there and we're trying to put in new stuff. Just realize that's what we're doing, and I'll try to come back to this meeting and then board meetings in the future just to let everybody know what we're doing and why and when it's going to occur. So thank you very much for the time that we've got here this evening, and Orrin, I will throw it back to you or anybody else unless there's any other comments.
Any questions from the public? I could pass along to Mike and Stacy. Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Stacy. Hopefully you're staying warm at your house. I will now break from our agenda just a little bit, and we have Department of Agriculture, Division of Water Resources, and their usual report that they provide to us. Do we have Jeff Landerman or Cameron Canant on the line with us?
Yeah, Warren, this is Jeff Landerman here. Hey, thank you for the opportunity to attend this by Zoom. I know I'm a local, but I've got a lot of stuff going on right now, and just couldn't make it tonight. So anyway, Orrin, do you want to flop to the next screen or the next slide? Orrin kind of asked me to give an update of what we kind of do at the field office, the services that we provide in the local area. So I thought I'd kind of tell you what I do. Now, my field office covers about 26 counties in South Central Kansas, all are parts of about 26 counties. And I have 2 full GMDs in my field office and 1 partial. So I have GMD 3, GMD 5, all of GMD 5 and all of GMD 2 in my field office. So one of the services that we provide in our field office is to process new applications. So I have 1 staff that is fully dedicated to processing new applications. I had some switchover in my office recently, and I have new staff, Jessica Engelbrecht, working new applications in my field office. She's doing a really good job. So we've, processed about 36 new applications. Most of them, as you're aware, are not in your district office area. But I also have a delegation of authority to process Central Kansas Water Bank savings account withdrawal applications. And I did about 20 of those last year. So one big core activity that we do is compliance investigations in our area. So we go out and do and check and make sure that wells are in the proper place, that meters are installed and properly installed, and places of use are properly in the right place and are being irrigated. So, or other types of use also. But we did about 450 of those last year. It was with COVID and everything, our office closed down for a while, and we weren't allowed to go out to the field for quite a while. So those numbers are a little bit down from last year. We did about 54 field inspections. The field inspection is something that we do in the process of the water rights certification process. So we go out and do a field inspection, and at the end of the perfection period, and if you ever have any questions about the whole water rights certification process, it's probably a lot more information than you need to know right now. But so we do field inspections, and then we once the perfection period ends, we look at how well the water appropriation was put to beneficial use. So at the end of the perfection period, then we can propose a certificate to our Manhattan office, and that kind of sets into process the certification issuing, which is the final step in a water right process where it becomes a real property right. So that's something that we do a lot of in our office. One thing that the field office does, and most of you guys are all aware of, is we process changes to water rights. We can do changes in well location up to a half a mile, and we can do changes in place of use, but for irrigation only. So that's something that we do quite a bit of. Our numbers were down quite a bit over the last year. I don't know necessarily the reason for that, but it's picked up a lot lately, and we have about 25 changes in some level of processing right now. So Orrin will probably be getting a bunch of recommendation requests in the near future. Another thing, we help customers in the office with various issues, with complaints all the way from changes to certification and everything else. So we assisted about 500 people in our office with various issues. These are some sort of action was required with these office visits. Anyway, that's way down. Our office has been closed mostly since about last March due to COVID. So that's way down from our normal numbers there. We do a lot of stream flow measurements. I didn't put those down here, but we also do a lot of well measurements, kind of check in to see how we're doing with our water right administration and things like that. So we've got about 1,100, the last fiscal year, we've got about 1,100 wells measured, and lots of stream flow measurements as well. one of the big projects that we have going is we're scanning our water right files. We've been scanning our files, all new documents and everything that goes into files since about 2008 or a little bit before. But we scan, we're wholesale scanning files. Everything that was in files before 2008 mostly wasn't scanned. So we're wholesale scanning files. I have, one staff in the office that's what she does most of the time. We have all of our dismissed files scanned. We plan to eventually shred that information because it's all digital now. We have all of our vested right files done, which was a huge benefit. And we're just moving up the oldest files. We're up to about 1970. So that is a pretty big accomplishment, and we're making big headway there. Over the last year, the only stream, we have a law that we have to administer that we minimum desirable stream flow. Several gauges within my field office have a minimum desirable stream flow number. So when the gauge falls below the minimum desirable stream flow number, we generally administer surface water files upstream of that, divert upstream of that gauge. Basically, we send out an order and tell them to shut off until we're up above the minimum desirable stream flow number for 2 weeks. So the only like I said, the only stream that we administered MDS on last year was the Little Ark in kind of Harvey and Sedgwick counties. So anyway, Orrin, could you go to the next one? The only other thing I wanted to talk about was water use reports are due March 1st. That's coming up really fast. I put we have an online system. I put the link to the online system there. That's been going for several years now. If you do not do it online, there is a fee per file for paper reports. So as of this morning, I checked our online reporting system. We had about 55% of all the water rights statewide have been completed online. We're running a little bit behind last year. The field office is currently closed due to COVID. We are allowing appointments. I have extra staff rotating in the office to assist people with water use reports by phone. We're allowing one person by appointment. If you can, give us a call. Many issues can be resolved over the phone. But if you need assistance, please don't wait till the last minute because it's just we're getting down to crunch time there. We have 1 week to go, and I know that Orrin's also offering assistance in his office. So with that, I guess I don't have anything more to talk about.
Thank you, Jeff.
Any questions?
You have any questions for Jeff while he's on there? Wow. All right. Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Well, with the elections the way they were tonight, we do not have any election results because they were unanimous ballots cast. So the incumbents were all elected back into their seats. I will now open the floor for any questions. This is dangerous, but I will open the floor for any questions related to GMD and the water bank. It's not the last chance, but it's the last chance tonight. Grant, are there any questions in chat? All right. Well, with that, it's 5 till 8. I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Kevin. The question is related to the land that we purchased last spring. The land is south of Quivira, about 9 miles south of Quivira. The intended purpose for that is for data collection. And if we need to put some wells in there to further assess the water availability in that area, we'd have the ground available for us to do that with full ownership. Currently, that land, some of it is in CRP and some of it is current ag ground that's being farmed by a local tenant in the area. Does that help? Thanks, Kevin. Larry.
I don't know who said it, but if I heard it correctly, the augmentation well activity was proceeding. Are we saying that the Audubon lawsuit was not?
So you heard correctly. We are currently in the process of evaluating the augmentation program and all the other aspects in that MOA that was signed in July. We're in the process. We got funded here in December through NRCS USDA to conduct an environmental assessment through NEPA, through the watershed planning process. It's a lot of words there. Basically, what it means is we're going to fully investigate the augmentation program to make sure that it meets all the regulatory requirements needed to pass muster. And so, yes, we are proceeding onward. That is in full partnership with NRCS, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and obviously the district board is behind it. So yes, we are proceeding. Until a court tells me to stop, I have every intention to proceed on. Any more questions? Yes, the questions were related to actually more of a comment that the water bank, while it is being reviewed and evaluated by the independent committee, we are still operational. There are some modifications we would like to see happen, but those are not in place yet. We are still operational with the same rules and regulations we've had for the last 5 to 8 years. So yes, please come talk to us and we will do what we can to help you out. Leah. So the question or the comment is related to the augmentation plan and what happens if we were to get halfway into it and then get administrative cuts on top of it and be forced to stop. We've already spent all this money on augmentation and now we're facing administrative cuts. Is that accurate? Well, here's the cool thing right now. The watershed planning project is fully funded 100% by NRCS money. So it's all federal funded right now. So we're not out anything. So we're proceeding on through that planning process, fully funded. Comment?
Well done, Oren. Perfectly answered. The only thing I'll add is that it's really my understanding in going through this process, and I'm learning a lot as we go, but that there's going to be a whole an array to the solution here, and augmentation is one of the pieces. So the risk of doing something that our experts acknowledge is probably a critical component to the solution. I think is quite low. In the end, it's going to be probably part of the solution, and so that's what we're doing. I think where we differ with the Audubon Society is that the process has started perhaps before they were ready, or before something else occurred. So. We have someone else.
Any other questions while you have her in the room? Patrick, are you just stretching or you have a question, Pat? Uh-oh. I'll try and paraphrase that, Pat. Pat Jansen mentioned some of his conversations with KDA staff were that as long as GMD and U.S. Fish and Wildlife are working together toward a mutual path of resolution, they're happy. They're going to continue to sit and watch that process go forward and not pursue administration. Now, that is why I say until a court tells me to stop, my view is we continue going down that path toward a resolution that is mutually agreed upon with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So that's my intention, and a big reason why is exactly as Pat says, so that KDA DWR does not feel obligated to come in and issue administration orders.
I'd agree with Pat on that.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions from the big wall of Hollywood Squares? No. All right, we are 2 past 8. Last call for questions tonight. All right, I don't see any. I'd take a motion for adjournment. Tom, Justin? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, folks. Safe travels tonight, and thank you for attending.